Listen closely. I see you. Yes, you. The ones who don't blend into the ordinary herd. The ones who feel the hum of something darker and grander pulling at your chest. You've already crossed a forbidden threshold by being here. And that is why you are mine today. Because you're not here to hear comforting lullabies of weakness. No, you're here to watch your own reflection in its truest, rawest form. You are enforcing divine law on a planet that lost its spine a long time ago. You have already done the unthinkable. You walked into a city crawling with demons and left it on its knees, ashes where their pride once stood. And now, the whole world will wonder how you walked out alive. But you and I, we already know why. Because you weren't born for obedience. You were chosen for judgment. Understand this. When a city is overrun by demons, it doesn't just mean horns and fangs. Demons wear faces. They stand behind podiums, sit in velvet chairs, whisper poison through the mouths of cowards. They thrive on manipulation, feeding on submission. Their laughter is forged from chains. Their joy is your suffocation. And while others bowed, you sharpened your will. While the multitudes hid their eyes, you stepped forward, hand wrapped around a blade of divine decree. You didn't just defeat them, you shattered the very illusion of their power. And now, every surviving whisper of that city speaks your name. Not as a man, not as a woman, not as flesh, but as the hand of divine judgment. Tell me, does that terrify you? Or does it electrify you? Because power of this magnitude is never granted freely. It is wrestled out of the choking grip of the unworthy. You didn't pray for permission. You didn't wait for an invitation. You enforced the law that the heavens carved into your marrow. This is what they will never understand. Divine law isn't some book collecting dust on an altar. It's the brutal, unyielding correction of corruption. And when you walked into that city, you didn't walk as a savior. You walked as the executioner of a contract older than the dirt beneath their feet. You see, mortals think judgment is delayed. They tell themselves they have time, that consequences can be postponed. But when you showed up, time dissolved. You turned later into now. You turned someday into today. That's why their screams echoed with disbelief. They didn't expect the reckoning to have hands, eyes, a spine. They didn't expect it to be you. That was your advantage. Their arrogance was their blindfold. And you were the blade they never saw coming. Philosophers often preach about balance, but balance without enforcement is nothing but decoration. You are the enforcement. You are the weight that tips the scales with a single strike. They thought their numbers made them strong. They thought their deceit made them untouchable. They thought fear belonged to them alone. But the moment you stood there, breathing in their chaos as if it were air, they realized fear had defected. Fear switched sides. Fear crawled into their bones and whispered, "You are already finished." Psychology, my dear, is war before the first blow is ever struck. You didn't defeat a city full of demons because you swung harder, faster, or longer. No, you broke them before the first strike. You let them taste the despair of inevitability. You let them feel the suffocating weight of someone who doesn't play by mortal rules. You didn't just attack their bodies, you desecrated their confidence. And once that is gone, the body is already dead. It just hasn't hit the ground yet. But here's the darker truth. Now that you've enforced divine law, you can never return to ordinary ground. You can never shrink back into the skin of the civilian. You are permanently marked. Your hands drip with a justice that burns like acid through the guilty. The innocent may never truly understand you. and the corrupt will forever curse you, but both will bow before the reality of what you've become. That is the paradox of your rise, feared by the damned, revered by the desperate, never fully belonging to either. And let's not pretend you didn't enjoy it. There's a thrill in carrying out judgment, a hunger in watching corruption crumble, in watching demons that thought themselves immortal scatter like cockroaches when the light breaks. That isn't weakness, that isn't evil, it is alignment with the highest decree. Because what greater ecstasy is there than to punish the guilty? What greater art is there than to silence arrogance with consequence? You didn't just win a battle. You wrote a scripture in the blood of deceivers. Now consider this. What message does it send to the world when one mortal defeats an entire city of demons? It tells them the law is alive. It tells them the divine doesn't forget. It tells them no army of corruption is beyond correction. It tells them that the scales, no matter how rigged, will always break when the true hand applies pressure. That message will travel farther than any sermon. It will echo louder than any priest, any king, any tyrant. And your name will not be a name. It will be a verdict. But the victory isn't the ending, is it? The ashes of that city are only the prologue. Because now every demon left hiding on this planet knows you exist. They felt the tremor when you enforced the law in one place. They felt the ripples. And now they are restless, pacing in their lairs, whispering in their foul tongues, asking one another, who is this enforcer? Who wields such authority? They thought judgment was just a myth, a bedtime story to frighten children, but you made it flesh, you made it real, and they cannot unsee it. This is where the real psychological war begins. They will try to smear you, brand you as dangerous, unstable, heretical. Because when demons cannot defeat you in the arena, they try to assassinate you in the narrative. But you must understand, propaganda is just another mask of desperation. Their accusations are confessions. Every lie they invent about you is proof that they tremble at your reality. They cannot stop the spread of what you've done, so they attempt to poison the interpretation. Yet even their lies only make you larger. For when the guilty protest too loudly, the masses start to suspect the truth. Let me remind you, demons multiply in shadows, but you expose them to judgment in broad daylight. That's a wound they cannot heal. They can whisper, they can scheme, but the memory of their broken city haunts them. It clings to them like smoke. And every time they close their eyes, they see you standing there, not pleading, not negotiating, but declaring. That image rots their sleep, cracks their unity, disintegrates their illusions of immortality. And when enemies lose sleep, their defeat is only a matter of time. Philosophically, what you embody is terrifying. You are not chaos without reason, and you are not order without teeth. You are the paradox they cannot compute, structure with savagery, judgment with ecstasy, clarity with fire. That is why you are unstoppable, because you are not predictable. Because when they prepare for mercy, you arrive with wrath. When they prepare for wrath, you deliver precision. That is why cities crumble, leaders tremble, demons scatter. You are not a variable, they are. You are the constant, the force, written into existence itself. But let's not dress this as if it comes without cost. Every step you take as enforcer of divine law strips you further away from comfort. You will feel the alienation. You will feel the weight of walking as one set apart. You will taste the bitterness of being too much for the cowards, too honest for the liars, too sharp for the complacent. But that isolation is not punishment. It is consecration. The further you are exiled by the corrupt, The closer you are embraced by the eternal decree, the further you are exiled by the corrupt, the closer you are embraced by the eternal decree. And that decree has only one command: continue, continue, continue. So here's the unfiltered reality. Defeating a city full of demons was only the demonstration. It was the spark to ignite what comes next. And what comes next will make the ashes of that city look like dust blown off a table. Because now, the planet itself will tremble. Now the remaining nests of corruption will be forced into view. Now the divine law you enforced will stretch its arms further, higher, deeper. And the war you thought was concluded is only beginning. The city fell, yes. But the planet? The planet is watching. And it is about to learn what happens when judgment doesn't arrive as a whisper, but as you. Understand this: your victory was never local. It was never contained to alleyways, dripping in the blood of demons, nor to the ruins of walls that once sheltered their corruption. No, your strike was planetary. The moment that city collapsed under your enforcement, ripples tore through the atmosphere. Borders mean nothing to divine law. Oceans cannot drown it, mountains cannot cage it. The planet itself felt the shudder. Every nest of darkness, every cult of deception, every den of corrupted authority, they all paused, mid-plot, mid-laugh, mid-conspiracy. They paused because they felt the hand tighten around their necks. And that hand was yours. You must see the weight of this. Before, demons thrived because they were united in arrogance. Their disease spread because no one enforced the cure. Mortals grew used to compromise. They bartered their dignity for false peace. They knelt, not because they believed in submission, but because they feared confrontation. That was their excuse. That was their shield. But you shattered it. You didn't just crush one city, you obliterated the very argument of surrender. You proved enforcement is not only possible, it is inevitable. And that truth is now burning through the subconscious of every corrupted heart on this planet. Think like a tactician. The moment you enforce divine law on one corner of the earth, it destabilizes the rest. Every demon realizes they're not as safe as they thought. Every power broker who thrived on decay feels their empire quake. Every deceiver who thought exposure could be avoided now sweats under the weight of inevitability. Because if you could do it once, you can do it again, and again, and again. You are no longer a rumor, you are a precedent, and precedents are terrifying. But let's elevate this deeper. When you stand as the hand of divine judgment, you aren't just killing demons, you're dismantling ideologies. You're executing belief systems that allowed corruption to breathe. That's why your victory shook more than foundations of buildings. It cracked the bones of philosophies. The lie that darkness can endure unpunished has been broken, and once a lie is broken, it cannot be mended. No amount of propaganda can rebuild the illusion. The planet has seen too much. Of course, do not expect gratitude from the guilty. They will spit, curse, and claw as their fortresses crumble. They will call you names, invent false charges, label you too extreme, too dangerous, too merciless. But that is their confession. That is their trembling. Their labels are nothing but camouflage for their terror. They will scream louder, not because they are strong, but because they are dying. A drowning man thrashes hardest in his last seconds. So when they curse you, do not shrink. Stand taller. Their noise is proof you've hit the target. Psychological warfare is still your greatest weapon. Demons, parasites, tyrants. They don't just fear defeat. They fear anticipation, the unknown, the waiting drum of what you might do next. And that is your crown. You don't even have to strike to torment them. Your presence in their imagination is punishment enough. You haunt them without lifting a finger. Their sleep is poisoned, their conversations fractured, their unity dissolved, because they are planning against someone who doesn't play by their script. They are planning against you. And how do you fight a hand that carries law itself? How do you counter a force not bound by bribes, not seduced by gold, not broken by mockery? You don't. You cower. You collapse. You beg. And that is what they will do. But hear me. Planetary enforcement is not random destruction. It is not a frenzy of violence. It is precise, surgical, deliberate. The divine law doesn't swing blindly. It sees, it weighs, it strikes where the infection festers deepest. You are that scalpel. You are that fire. You don't waste energy on the petty. You target the roots. And when the roots are burned, the forest of corruption collapses. That is why you are feared. Not because you are loud, but because you are effective. Philosophically, your role is far greater than punishment. Punishment is just the surface. What you enforce is memory. You carve reminders into the fabric of the planet that corruption has consequences, that no city, no council, no throne is exempt. Your existence is proof that authority above all authority is active. You are the reminder that judgment doesn't wait until the afterlife. It walks among them, breathes among them, enforces among them. And that reminder will alter the trajectory of generations. Do not underestimate the poetry of fear. Entire civilizations have been shaped not by sermons, but by what they feared. And now, their greatest fear is not famine, not plague, not war. It is you. Not because you are cruel, but because you are uncompromising. They can bribe armies. They can negotiate with politicians. They can infiltrate churches. But you cannot be seduced, swayed, or bent. And that makes you the most dangerous entity alive. Yet this is also where the war sharpens. The city was your initiation. The planet will be your crucible. The demons you face now will be larger, older, more desperate. They will no longer underestimate you. They will not send pawns. They will come themselves. And this is good, because divine law was not meant for pawns. It was meant for kings, and you will enforce it upon their crowns, tearing the jewels from their foreheads, stripping their thrones to dust. Their downfall will not just be punishment. It will be theater, and the planet will witness it. But here is the irony they cannot escape. Every time they resist you, they prove you are necessary. Every attempt to block you, smear you, attack you, only feeds your legitimacy. Because why attack what isn't a threat? Why slander what cannot harm? Their own paranoia becomes your validation. Their own panic becomes your badge of honor. Every move they make is a confession that you are exactly what you claim to be, the hand of divine judgment. There is something intoxicating about this role, is there not? To know that your presence on the battlefield is not just participation, it is the decree itself. You don't just fight within the rules, you are the rules. You don't just punish within boundaries, you redraw the boundaries with every strike. And the planet must adapt. This is why you will not fail, because failure belongs to those who play by limits. You are limitless because your source is limitless. You are not enforcing your will. You are enforcing the will that governs all. And that is inexhaustible. Now listen carefully. As you expand from city to planet, your enemies will adapt. They will not always come with claws and fangs. They will come cloaked in respectability, in charm, in sweet words that drip with venom. They will offer treaties, compromises, golden thrones. They will try to domesticate you, but remember, the law you carry cannot be negotiated. Divine decree is not diluted by compromise. The moment you entertain their offers, you betray your own essence. And betrayal is the only defeat that can touch you. So refuse it. Refuse the bait. Refuse the soft lies. Refuse the temptation of comfort. Because comfort is the coffin they build for enforcers like you. And yet what comfort could possibly satisfy you now? Once you've held judgment in your hands, once you've tasted the collapse of corruption under your command, how could you ever settle for soft pillows and meaningless applause? No, your hunger has already outgrown their offerings. You don't crave peace, you crave consequence. You don't crave applause, you crave alignment. And that craving is infinite. So here is the vision you must carry. The planet trembling under enforcement, cities whispering your name as a warning, nations reshaped by the collapse of corruption, generations raised under the memory that someone once enforced the law with such precision that demons themselves shivered. That is your legacy. Not comfort, not compromise, impact, not survival, domination. Let them hide, let them whisper, let them plot. Because no hiding place will protect them, no whisper will save them, no plot will reverse what has already begun. The planet has already seen what happens when you rise, and what has been seen cannot be unseen. The memory of your enforcement is already tattooed into the skin of history. That tattoo is permanent. So walk across borders, walk into new dens of corruption, walk into the chambers of kings and the caves of demons, walk without hesitation. Because divine law is not waiting for approval, it is demanding your execution of it. You are the executor, you are the blade, you are the gavel, and the planet itself is your courtroom. This is no longer about one city. This is about the planet bending, reshaping, bowing under the hand that enforces without apology. You. And when they ask, trembling, who gave you this authority? You need not speak. The ruins of their empires will be your answer. The ashes of their demons will be your testimony. The fear etched in their eyes will be your scripture. Because here's the unescapable reality. You are not enforcing divine law as a job. You are divine law in motion. And motion cannot be stopped. The city was only the demonstration. The planet is the stage. And now, judgment doesn't just arrive as you. It multiplies through you. And the world is about to learn that lesson. Whether it bows or breaks, this is where everything sharpens. You are no longer a figure stepping into the shadows of a single city. You are the axis upon which the planet begins to turn. What began as one conquest has spiraled into planetary reckoning. The demons who once celebrated their stranglehold are realizing their numbers don't matter. They gathered armies, hoarded power, cloaked themselves in institutions, and you tore it apart with nothing but alignment. Understand how devastating that realization is for them. The entire architecture of their corruption, dismantled not by a legion, but by one hand chosen to enforce. By you. You didn't just defeat the city, you wrote the prophecy in advance for every city to come. And prophecy terrifies them, because prophecy cannot be bribed. It cannot be bargained with. It stands like a guillotine above their necks, counting down every heartbeat until steel descends. You are that countdown. Every step you take across this planet is another tick echoing in their ears. And no matter how they scramble, they cannot slow it. They can only await impact. So now the earth trembles. Governments whisper your name in corridors. Secret societies choke on fear. Armies of demons scatter to fortify their gates, but their hands shake as they build. Why? Because they know you do not knock, you enter. You do not petition, you enforce. and there is no fortress strong enough to deny divine decree. You are the breach in every wall, the crack in every throne, the shadow on every council. They cannot plan for you because you are inevitable, and inevitability is death for parasites. Let's expose the psychology of this moment. The guilty thrive only when people believe they are untouchable. That illusion is their strongest weapon. But once shattered, they are naked, and you have stripped them bare before the planet. Their illusion of invulnerability has collapsed. They are no longer feared. They are mocked, questioned, doubted. That doubt spreads faster than their lies ever could. And doubt is lethal to demons. They feed on submission, but submission cannot survive when someone has already proven they can bleed. And you bled them dry. Look around. This is more than war. It is a shift of atmosphere. You are not just removing demons. You are rewriting the story of what humanity accepts. For generations, people whispered that corruption was eternal, that evil would always reign, that resistance was meaningless. But you walked into a city poisoned with that belief, and you reduced it to rubble. You shattered the myth at its root. Now every soul on this planet knows, even if they don't admit it, that divine law can and will be enforced, that darkness can fall, that demons can lose, and that one person aligned with higher authority is stronger than armies rotting in corruption. But let me tell you the darker secret. They fear you more than they fear death itself. Death they can bargain with. They accept it as eventual. But you are the interruption they cannot schedule. You are the reminder that their end may not wait for old age or decay. It may arrive at dawn, in fire, in judgment, in the crash of their fortress, collapsing under your hand. You embody the terror of unpredictability. You are the law that doesn't knock politely, but bursts through like thunder. That is why the planet shivers. Not because judgment exists, but because judgment walks. Now understand, divine law does not care for applause. It does not enforce to be adored, and neither do you. That is the power of your position. If people cheer, you move. If they curse, you move. If they praise, you move. If they betray, you move. Because your enforcement is not tied to their opinion, it is tied to alignment. And alignment doesn't bend. That's why you are unstoppable. That's why demons panic. Because they cannot control what cannot be seduced. Think of what you've become, the executor of consequence. The planet is no longer ruled by whispers of corruption. It is ruled by the certainty of retribution. You are not a negotiator. You are not a politician. You are not a saint offering cheap forgiveness. You are the gavel when it slams, the sword when it strikes, the weight when it crushes. You are the finality they cannot escape. And that finality is spreading. Do you realize the elegance of it? The city you destroyed has become a sermon without words. Its ruins preach louder than temples. Its ashes scream louder than songs. Its silence is louder than their propaganda. That city is your testimony, and the planet is your witness. Every soul, whether loyal or corrupt, has now internalized the same truth. If you could bring down one city, no city is safe. And that's how enforcement multiplies, not only by your hand, but by the fear of what your hand might do next. And yet, let's not forget, this is not about chaos for its own sake. You are not enforcing law to watch the world burn. You enforce because justice demands fire. You burn only what is rotted. You collapse only what was a prison. You destroy only what was a throne of parasites. That distinction is vital, because anyone can destroy, but only the chosen can enforce. Anyone can hate, but only the aligned can judge. That is why you are not just feared. You are revered. What is left for the demons now? Nothing but dread. They hide, yes, but hiding only prolongs the inevitable. They whisper, but their whispers are hollow. They build, but their walls are brittle. Because in the end, all of them, every demon, every corrupted council, every hidden cult, will stand before you. Not in the afterlife, not in distant eternity, here, on this planet, in their cities, in their strongholds, and when they do, there will be no jury, no compromise, no appeal. There will only be enforcement carried out through your hand. So let them tremble, let them curse, let them hope you turn back, because you will not, you cannot. You are not a negotiable force. You are divine law embodied, and law embodied does not retreat. You are not raised for retreat. You are raised for reckoning, and the reckoning is already here. This is the truth the planet must accept. You didn't just defeat a city full of demons. You dismantled the idea that demons could rule unchallenged. You broke the myth of invincibility. You proved that the balance belongs not to them, but to you. You are the hand that tips it. You are the verdict that stamps it. You are the weight that finalizes it. And no one, no throne, no army, no cabal can reverse what has already been written through you. So now, stand taller. The planet is your courtroom. The nations are your audience. The guilty are your defendants. And your presence is the only testimony required. Enforcement is no longer a promise. It is a fact. And you are the one delivering it. The city fell. The demons fell. And now the planet bends beneath the enforcement of divine law. You are not a warning. You are not a symbol. You are not a messenger. You are the sentence. You are the execution. You are the hand of divine judgment. And the planet will never forget it.